Ashish is here. Hi, Ashish.
Hello, hello. Do you see me?
We can see you now. Okay. So, welcome, Ashish. We are going to be talking about MCP security best practices. We've talked in the last few hours. We've talked a lot about risks. We have talked a lot about why this is urgent, but we haven't really talked much about the best practices when it comes to MCPs. So, Ankush just talked about agentic AI agent specific solutions and how organizations should be securing this. This is very specific to MCP. So welcoming Ashish over here, who is the product security leader at IKEA. Ashish, bit of intro on yourself, and then I'll leave it to you to present to the audience.
Thank you. But before that, how can I control this?
I'm going to be stop sharing, and then you can start sharing.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Thank you. It's nighttime, so understandably, I'm I'm a bit slow, but yes, thank you. Glad to be here, and it's been really a pleasure to be here. So thank you, Ankita. As you said, I'm security engineering manager currently at IKEA, and people who do not know IKEA, I will be giving them the context like what IKEA is. But I've been in security industry for long. I've worked for companies like Microsoft, Unity, and Zalando, which is an European e-com company as well. So yeah, we'll be sharing my experience today of how AI is evolving in enterprises. Like what are the like one of the things which I was listening to, that how much of a content and how much of people have talked about, right? I just wanted to say that I have some kind of experiences or some of the things which we have been experiencing within enterprises. Also, I'll share that perspective, and really looking forward to this.
Awesome. Okay, then let's get started, Ashish. The floor is yours. I'll be out of this.
All right, thank you. So as I said, like when I was seeing the other presenters talking about the content, the stuff which you're sharing, so interesting. The MCP security space is moving so fast that me, one of the practitioners who's doing things, is still kind of learning new things. And wow, okay. And some of the things which I'm going to talk about, I think some of the risks, some of these, security issues in the MCP environments or MCP servers, you have heard already. But allow me to kind of give you the context and the details about this as well. But before that, where do I come from? I currently am working at IKEA, and IKEA is a home furnishing brand coming out of Sweden. We have 4.6 billion online customers or customer visits annually. Then we have 487 IKEA stores in 63 markets. We have over 7,000 developers. We have, you see the revenues. 26% of these revenue of these sales comes actually from online sales. So just to paint the picture, like why and if when I say that we are adopting AI at IKEA, be it our kind of digital experience which we are providing to our customers via tools like IKEA Creative, or the AI powered assistants which we are creating for developers to design their homes, their living rooms and whatnot, or creating some sort of operational efficiency or use of AI within our operational use cases internally. This is all we are doing with AI, and we have been very publicly vocal about how we are adopting AI within our environment. But is the AI adoption only about are we the only ones who are doing? I think I read one of the questions as well, which was about the skepticism around AI. Is it fast enough, or what is happening? Um, this data which you see, it is coming from Google's Dora report, which was recently released, practically this or last week, I guess. And if you see here, it says the AI adoption, the developers, 90% of the developers have started using AI for their work in one way or another. 80% of productivity boost they themselves are reporting. 60% of them are relying in some way for the work. When you see this data, you will believe that AI is not coming, or it's not kind of going to be there. It's already there. People are using for their work. And in enterprise or in companies, people always had ideas. Now they have the capabilities. I'm seeing, not only within my company or within my organization, I'm seeing other, peers and the colleagues I talk to. They're talking about experiences about the product managers building the engineering features, engineering managers writing better PRDs or the documentation, and all this kind of coming in. That is what is enabling people to adopt AI. Like when Anthropic launched MCP last November, the growth was explosive, and that's why there are more developers building MCP than the users. Well, it seems like there are less users, but there are actually not true. If you see, there are actually 6,000 over 6,000 MCP servers today. There are more than 3,000 active developers building and forking MCP servers and MCP tools. Anthropic releases data, so there are over 75,000 users who are actually using them. This means for every 25 users, there is a builder. Right? This is the kind of growth behind MCP's adoption and MCP's popularity. Now, when I say this, what I'm trying to say is production MCP is happening whether security teams like it or not. And talking about security, if you see that Superways recently gave an advice that never connect AI agents directly to production data, use development databases, staging environments, or proper controls. Basically, the reality, it basically never that. Thousands of teams are already connecting and already running MCP agents against live systems, because that's where the problems are, and they see the solutions to those problems. So they are building or trying to build the solutions to those problems. That's what they're doing, and they will find one way or another to connect MCP agents and systems to their data, which is basically they're trying to do to solve some business problems. And this is where my experience comes from as well. In the beginning of this summer, when I started noticing the trend within ourselves, within our organization, that people were started to build MCP servers. They were started to connect with the Jira boards, in internal tooling, and started building workflows. And then I, was hearing it from another organizations, another people as well, that they were another engineers. They were talking about as well that how people are building these workflows where they are pulling one data from one tool to integrating to another tool. They are getting things from Slack and whatnot. And as a security guy, I saw this risk that this is going, and this is before Zenity actually exploited and then presented in Black Hat and DEFCON all those use cases and those great kind of research things about security implications. I saw these risks of MCP servers. We started building the MCP inventory because we wanted to do, a couple of things. We wanted to have the accountability. We wanted to have the inventory to kind of reduce the impact of shadow AI, like who is building what, where is building what kind of integrations are happening. All this was happening before, in the summer, before a couple of months before Microsoft and Anthropic and other people started bringing out their inventory solutions. So we saw this, we started building, we started integrating the security principles and our security best practices in the MCP servers we were building or we were pulling in from other sources, in fact. So that being said, I have some things to say about security. If at all, if you ask me, how does the security, MCP security feels like, this is practically the meme. Given the kind of vulnerabilities, the security incidents which have happened with the MCP servers in the recent couple of months, it actually feels like this. And there has been GitHub, RCE. There has been MongoDB servers, Asana security incident. I don't know if you have heard about it. I'll share most about that. There has been some more details about Postmark MCP servers or the tools, I guess. But I'll share more about those security incidents, what has happened and how they were played out. This again, this data, if you see, MCP security vulnerabilities top 25. This was released this week as well by Edwards AI. And they have been talking about like prompt injection, command injection. These are nothing new. All our panelists today, Ankita's team has been talking about these vulnerabilities, how these are dangerous things for the MCP environments, MCP servers and toolings. What kind of these vulnerabilities can have up in production environment. All these are very existing and very real in MCP's environment. How real? This real. If you see this malicious MCP in the wild about Postmark, if you see this black picture here, this was just one line, and this was practically this tool was 1,500 downloads a week or something. This was really popular tool, which this was actually just taking out all the mails on the personal mail server of this actor or whoever that is. This was happening. One of the another kind of just now, I think today itself, the same team, the core research team, they have done again one more finding, which was about run command server, which is really a handy tool to let your AI system run some command system commands basically. That is actually a backdoor. Interesting, research which I couldn't find more details about just yet, so that's why I didn't bring it here. But these things are happening, and people, developers, not many people who would be pulling in these tools, using these tools, would know the kind of the real implications of these things happening. If you read this news about GitHub MCPs or Anthropic's their own MCP inspector, which I was earlier referring to in the chat about this tool, which I really love, but then that tool itself had an RCE. Asana's MCP connector, which was basically opening the database instances to people with other tenants or other domains, which was basically to another companies practically. All these are real incident which has happened and which are putting the security in a very real, interesting space for enterprises. That being said, I wanted to kind of talk about 4 pillars of MCP security, which I think is the right direction, right? Because I feel that enterprise AI needs more than just connecting tools. It needs architecture design pattern, and those design patterns or these architecture pattern needs to be production ready. They needs to be mature. There is no maturity in the toolings or in the production ready MCP deployments just yet. Real world deployment patterns like on-premises cloud hybrid, they have specific challenges. If you see, most teams, they have great demos, but when you see from the demos to the real production environment, there are real practical gaps, like not the enough understanding into the configuration, what kind of toolings we can create for the security, what kind of tool we can do to have the correct visibility, auditability, and security operations, those kind of things. These are not there just yet. So that's why I think these 4 pillars are, I believe that I will be diving deep on what are the security practices we can use in each of these pillars. But the only disclaimer I have is basically this is very fast, moving space, and security would be changing. These practices would be changing as and when go, right? So maybe when a couple of months later, these things might be changing, but not because these are not relevant, but these are because things are changing so fast that many of these things will be happening by default in the MC. So hopefully I'll see there will be more mature implementations of some of the things, but allow me to come back to the first pillar of building kind of some secure MCP servers in your enterprise environment. And I'm really running fast because I'm looking at the time. These are some of these the best security practices for MCP security in enterprise based on my experience, what I have seen, what I have read, what I have researched. So there for you. Very first thing is consider building an internal MCP registry. Maintain your own curated set of trusted MCP servers to reduce exposure to unknown code and limit potential for rug pulls. In enterprises, having the accountability and ownership helps. enormously to tackle this shadow AI problem, right? And then this can actually extend to track the integrations and some sort of security risks as well. Second, allow only trusted source for MCP servers. Prefer well-known projects or vendors with clear ownership, visibility, and a security track record. I know what I'm saying because I just showed you the example of GitHub and Anthropic's having those security vulnerabilities. But still, I'm saying this because they have still better track record. They fixed faster, they took accountability, and then they kind of patched and communicated to the customers as well. So that's the reason I'm saying this. Third one is allow only mature MCP client. They add to your attack surface. So you basically, allow only the mature MCP clients, and your selection criteria should be, about auditability, approval flows, permissions management, and overall security posture of these MCP clients. Make audit and inspection a mandatory process for MCP servers. Treat MCP servers like packages with elevated privileges. Check for signs of malicious behavior, misconfigs, or any other risks, like the projects are not maintained anymore. So those kind of same risks comes with these unknown MCP servers as well. Next is fifth one, apply least privileges to credentials, limit token scope, avoid broad permissions, and treat authentication requests with zero trust if you can. That's basically the very important principle to follow in terms of building the layered security defense. Coming to that, implement layered security for MCP implementation. Consider sandboxing MCP servers. Use containerizations, network egress controls. Basically, build defense in depth. Prioritize locally built and inspected servers. Inspected, when I say, like, you should know that what tools, what resources these MCP servers are using. I think someone else in these panels have already mentioned about the MCP gateways. Use MCP gateways. Centralizing MCP servers usage through a proxy will allow a single point of control for audit logging, monitoring, and some guardrails and governance and controls. There are some good MCP gateways available now. I think agent gateways and there are some open source gateways are available again. Akto, one of them, is a good MCP gateway server now. As I'm exploring, use them. Strong authentication is not optional. Mandate OAuth in your enterprise environment. It's not nice to have. It's your entire defense line between useful AI agents and this thing that just deleted my company database. So MCP now officially supports OAuth 2.1. So there is no excuse. This should become your basically truth number one. Implement fail-safe behavior, put humans in the loop. These are some of the best practices which you have already heard in these talks. But I wanted to reiterate. I wanted to give you the understanding of how knowing and taking care of these best practices can help you build a good and solid MCP security in your enterprise environments. Moving on quickly to the next pillar, which is about the guardrails and guardrails for tools and resources. Just wanted to align on the understanding, like, if you see, this is how the architecture goes for the tools and resources. There are third-party tools which can introduce risks in your environment. When I talk about building the guardrails for tools and resources, there are basically some basic and I say this with full responsibility. Not many teams are building these advanced security controls and these security practices in their MCP deployment just yet. But still, I think if I want to say some of the basic security practices, you should think about the first one, which I cannot stress enough. require human approval for sensitive operations. What it means in practice, never, and I mean never, enable, always allow, or auto run settings for tools that touch sensitive data or run with elevated privileges. Always let people choose or let people decide like how or what needs to be done. Examples of operations that must have human approvals: database modifications, file deletions, credential access, API calls to production systems, or any operations involving PII. These should be like the basics of your security controls putting in there. If you see the least privileges, building a security registry or building a trusted source, just like building a Docker, trusted Docker container image registry. Start thinking about building an MCP server's trusted registry as well. These advanced, if you see, define explicit R list or set harder source quotas, block tools from accessing the system critical directories, restricting approved domains and block administrative reports. These are advanced, configurations and settings. If you can do within your MCP configurations to block the tools, to build the guardrails for the tools and resources would be great. And while saying this, I know that this doesn't happen much, but this is how people should start thinking into when they're building, MCP servers within their production environments. Third pillar, the prompt and context security. There is a bit more kind of text in there. My general recommendation about these best practices are that scan all inputs for prompt injection. If you see before the processing happens, redact PII or secrets from context data automatically. There are way many tools available nowadays for doing that. There is, I think, Microsoft's Presidio does that. There are some open source toolings available to detect the PII and to do these kind of filtration already. Audit logging goes without saying. I think A to A, Ankush to Ankush was talking about the audit logging and some of these things as well. Audit logging is important because no logs, no accountability, right? If anything I've learned that in the security and security operations space. So store audit logs and the context if you can. Well, you must. Number fourth, important one, never concatenate untrusted input into system prompts. This is the cardinal sin of LLM security. Treat all user input as hostile. Earlier, the GitHub security incident which I was referring to, actually though happened because of this technique. So real world implications, use this as the reality. Thank you. Moving on, running out the time. So the fourth pillar is continuous monitoring and red teaming. Again, when you're building these within the environments, within the production environment, bring in good people or good red teamers to actually start testing about the tools you have built and input in production. Use the MCP attack scenarios and vectors from the real life, do some prompt injections, do rug pulls, do some various types of attacks to test the security in your environments. First of all, have the visibility, and then have the visibility, and after that start testing the security maturity of your MCP deployments within your environment by running some red teaming operations within your environment, as any mature security programs allows or should have. Implement real-time alerting for privilege escalation attempts. This is really nice to have, and I think one of the things which I was referring here, if you can monitor and create some sort of alert for these things. I was joking to another day to one of my security operations colleagues that these are like now the new when the attackers logins, they start using the uname command or chsh or those kind of basic Linux commands. These are becoming those in the MCP or in the AI environment. So trigger the alerts or security monitoring alerts based on these indicators. This is a picture to summarize all these MCP security best practices. I'll leave this image here, and this presentation, these slides will have that. Quickly, some of these practices, special practices for, well, not special, but the practices which you should do in your enterprise environment. Find out what your SDLC looks like. This picture I really like from Pillared Security, and I couldn't do anything kind of better than this in order to explain like where you can, how you can identify your SDLC, what kind of security controls and checks you can put on what stages in your SDLC environment. Find out them, build those checks in place before your AI or MCP security deployments starts happening. AI governance board or MCP and agentic security board or AI governance or whatever you are calling, build those teams, build those specializations in your environment and your teams already, stabilize special groups, include your teams, internal teams, which should include security teams, DevOps, legal and compliance, and some of the business and product teams, because they will give you the context of certain business products, like how they're running, what business flows people can exploit, what kind of context breaking could happen in those business product environments. Need to understand those. So build those governance bodies to actually take quick actions. These, if this is not happening yet, this will start happening soon. So prepare. This is most important, I think. Review and approve high risk MCP deployment and third party integrations or internal integrations. There should be a body reviewing and allowing or rejecting or learning from those integrations, at least within your enterprise environment. I think several other people have mentioned about the CI/CD pipeline integrations. Using the toolings and the security scanning within the CI/CD pipelines itself. So I'll not go deeper in there. There are several compliance frameworks, TRISM or NIST AI frameworks. Some of these best practices which I was mentioning, they map with these TRISM pillar and these NIST AI framework. If you see explainability, model ops, AI AppSec, privacy. If you use some of these best practices in your environment, you will see that you will be mapping or maturing on your compliance in these. With that, I think my time is over, so I'll leave these slides here. Thank you so much. I have some bonus content here as well. Some things about some research I was doing, some recommended MCP security tools. So yeah, I'll leave these here for your pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ashish. This is wonderful. No, I mean, like the depth of the content and especially the security best practices part was amazing. And because it was, there's a lot to talk about,
That and 30 minutes are really not enough to go deeper.
not enough to
And
talk about this. Yeah.
exactly. And still, this content or this talk is still with the people that many people have talked about earlier. Raji, I could really overlap. I was overlapping some of the content which Raji shared or Hari shared, but I think there was still enough to dive deep.
Yeah, definitely. I think there is the especially the security part nobody talked about, especially for MCPs. They talked about MCP risks, but this was new and this is very needed for people to see. There's also audience coming in and out, so probably the morning audience was a little different from the afternoon
Yeah.
audience. Great session. So we can maybe take one question, because the
Yes.
next session is just Ankush and me, so we can probably start a couple of minutes late. That's fine. Uh, okay, so maybe the question could be, if we find an injection pattern, what action should we take?
Ooh, very interesting. Um, Depends what kind of, again, this is the kind of context learning I was referring to earlier about, right? When you when you work with the product teams, when you work with the security teams, when you find out these injection patterns, the very first thing you need to learn the context, right? Where it is happening, what kind of injection is, what is it trying to do, right? And then you start thinking about controls, like is it um, and I would be really interested to find out that how did you find that injection pattern and go deeper start building the detection engineering kind of capabilities there.
Mhm.
um, so in my opinion, the action should you take is basically go deeper. How did you find, and what else can you do to kind of enhance those detection capabilities? Second, work with your teams to find out that what you can do to prevent. Check the impact, like are the treat this as a security incident.
Yeah.
Go deeper, find out what could happen or what has happened, right? Go, and that's why I said I was saying earlier, having the audit loggings, they will come in handy. Having the context logging, what has happened, what was the actor was trying to do, or what kind of injection pattern was doing this, would help you. So my quick advice: work with your security teams to go deeper and treat this as an incident.
Oh, great. Yeah. So, the person who asked this question, great. You have to, get more context, go deeper, get into logs, understand what the context is, and then sort of take an action. Action could be like fix something, or yeah, I mean, report it to the developer, those kind of things. All right. There are lots more questions. I don't think we can answer any of those right now, but we will answer, guys, those questions after the conference and send people kind of a summary of all the questions asked and answers for those. But thank you. Thanks, Ashish. Thank you for being here as a wonderful speaker. Your content was amazing. People will get the slides, whoever is asking, they will get this webinar recording, so they'll be able to see the slides later as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Ashish.